need to bring in attorney Nicole Pearson. First, before we go to her, I want you to hear what she testified before a committee in California just the other day. Listen to this, and then we're going to be joined live by attorney Nicole Pearson. Listen to this, my friends.
Nicole Pearson, I'm a mother of three, a child of immigrants, and an attorney who spent her career helping immigrants and fighting human trafficking. I am also desperate to help children affected by ICE raids, but AB 495 is not it. We all know this because in 2021, the federal government faced a swell of unaccompanied minors at the border and was desperate to place them quickly. What did they do? They reduced vetting procedures, and as a result, the Department of Homeland Security has lost track of over now 600,000 unaccompanied minors. Despite this, California wants to do something similar, but even worse. With just one sheet of paper from the internet, California wants to let someone that is not related to your child remove her from school, enroll her in any other school in the state, authorize any medical treatment of her, including mental health services and drugs, without the parent's notice and knowledge or consent. This is not fear-mongering. I'm not being hyperbolic. It's stated right here in the caretaker's affidavit that I printed for you, which I pulled directly from the bill. Line 6 allows this transfer of parental rights without even having to speak to the parent. The author claims AB 495 is about giving immigrant families the agency to choose the safety plan that works, that preserves family unity. Where is the parental designation? Their signature at the bottom here is not required. She's co-opting a term non-relative family member from the foster care and dependency probate systems, but without any of the procedural guardrails. No background checks, no interviews, no home visits, no fingerprinting, parental involvement, or civil, criminal, or professional liability if the child is harmed. Just 100% blanket protection for any adult seeking to abuse any vulnerable child, because this is not limited to immigrant children. This applies to every single child in the state. Our children deserve to be protected through proper legal channels that currently exist, that have safeguards, and not just shortcuts that enable exploitation. We appreciate the author's intentions, but these unintended consequences are terrifying and they're unavoidable. We have systems and agencies in place that track and ensure children are safe and returned to their parents while respecting parental rights. We can and must support immigrant families with solutions that don't gamble children's lives. Please vote no on AB 495. I remain committed and offer my services to the Assemblywoman, free of charge, to help find solutions that work and actually achieve her goals. Thank you.
All right, now Nicole's website is facts. You ready for this? It's a long one. factslawtruthjustice.com. factslawtruthjustice.com. She joins us now. Again, this sounds almost like it's just too unbelievable to be true. But what you're telling me is anyone listening today outside of California, let's say here in my state of Tennessee, let's say a 14-year-old girl has a 20-year-old boyfriend. Tell me what that 20-year-old boyfriend could do with that, quote, 14-year-old here in Tennessee, taking them to California under what guise, and what does he need to do to keep her away from her parents? How would that run down?
Well, California is a sanctuary state, and as you and I have discussed many times, they have these incremental bills or these bootstrapping bills. So slowly but surely, they have been setting up the perfect trap, the recipe to literally disappear minors, children. So California is a sanctuary state. Two bills that passed were Senate Bill 107 and then Nancy Skinner's bill, Senate Bill 435, I believe it was, that I testified against 2 or 3 years ago, and 2 years ago, excuse me. So any child that is brought here to California to receive gender affirming or sexual reproductive health care will be protected by law enforcement and the courts, and obviously the California legislators who voted in favor of these two bills. And they will not cooperate with the lawful orders or the subpoenas or the warrants of your conservative home state where you think you have legal custody of your child and are the only one who can make these types of decisions on behalf of him or her.
So it does not have to be just for LGBTQ. Again, let's say some 20-year-old kid, 19-year-old kid makes it into the life of a 14-year-old somehow, either through, any of these social media platforms or they somewhere bumped into each other in town. He decides he's going to transport her to California not under the LGBTQ ideology, but under receiving reproductive health care.
Well, by the way, they don't actually have to, but I mean, let's just call it. I know you're trying to be be eloquent or be delicate, in the way that you're couching. If a 19-year-old boy impregnates his 16-year-old girlfriend and you're in Tennessee and the laws have changed now, and I have not followed the abortion laws that have changed since the Dobbs decision, but you live in a state where that child cannot receive an abortion without their parents' knowledge or consent, then he can bring her here to California to get an abortion, again, against your wishes, against your consent, without your knowledge, and he and she will be protected. Law enforcement will not cooperate with you. The courts will not cooperate with you to extradite your child back to his or her home state. So that is a scenario that we're talking about here.
What if it's not abortion? What if it's they want he wants to get her on the pill? Is that not considered?
Perfect.
So it doesn't even have to be an abortion. It could just be anything they can come up with.
Absolutely. And they just have to say that, right? They just have to say, we're here to get gender affirming. No one's following them. No one is paying attention. But when you go to court or you go to the police station and you go with your order that says, or even your ex-husband or your ex-wife, and you go to the California court and you say, here's our legal custody order from Texas or from Tennessee. I have legal custody. He cannot give her gender affirming. He cannot consent to this gender affirming care. He cannot consent to the sexual reproductive care. The courts will just have to say, I'm sorry, this is a sanctuary state. We're not going to order the sheriffs to deliver your child into your custody, even though you have a lawful order from your court in your home state that says that you are the only one entitled or with the authority to make those decisions on behalf of your child.
So this is a kidnap. This is legalized sex trafficking, legalized kidnapping. So it doesn't have to be a 19, 20-year-old kid with a 14, 15, 16-year-old girlfriend or girl that he's trafficked. Maybe it's not his girlfriend. Maybe it's somebody's trafficking. Yes. It could be a 13-year-old boy that's been groomed by some older man as well.
Yes.
And so they can come up with anything they want. And even, it sounds like there's no proving that's what they're there for. So they could claim whatever they want. There's no proof that they're there for those services per se.
Right, exactly. I mean, California legislators have made California a sex traffickers, human traffickers, groomers paradise. I mean, we have those sanctuary state bills. You guys know that it's also an immigration sanctuary state where law enforcement is not allowed to ask. They're not allowed or required to cooperate with the federal agents. You also know that, here they are also protected because they have what's called Assembly Bill 223, which allows an adult to take a minor into a court and initiate confidential legal proceedings to change a minor's name, gender, sex identifier. That was AB 223 that passed last year. This year, that's Christopher Ward's bill. This year, Assemblyman Rick Zabur wants to expedite those confidential proceedings so that they should occur under less than six weeks. California is a hub of human trafficking. It's one of the largest destinations for the consumers of child sex abuse material, of not just that, but also just sexual human trafficking. And it's rightfully so because we protect predators here. We make it easy. We have AB 1955, which allows teachers to have inappropriate conversations with your child, show them inappropriate materials, and keep secrets, like actively keep secrets, have a shadow file for your child. So when you come in to talk about Bobby, your teacher presents all the documents with Bobby's name on it, even though Bobby goes by Belinda all throughout the school day. And we have the governor, we have the Attorney General Rob Bonta, we have the Superintendent of Public Instruction, Tony Thurman, initiating lawsuits against conservative school districts and parents who are trying to set aside these bills or pass their own declarations in their school district, resolutions, to try and just require teachers to follow the law and tell parents when their children are suffering or are having issues and struggling at school. So this is already happening in California. Now we have legislators passing laws to codify or make this illegal, immoral, disgusting, depraved behavior legal. And then when parents or school districts or conservative teachers decide to basically retaliate or rise up and protect themselves, we actually have our very own governor and our attorney general suing us. So that's where, California is a dangerous place for children who live here and children who can be brought here and whose kidnappers will be protected.
And it's just horrific. It is, as a father, as a grandfather, it is horrific to think about this and the implications of it at so many levels, Nicole. Folks, it's truth. I really want to point you to this website, okay? It's factslawtruthjustice.com. If you'll go there right now, factslawtruthjustice.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page. When you get to the very bottom, you're going to see some icons. One for Rumble, one for Instagram, one for Telegram, one for Twitter, and then there's one for Substack. Hover your cursor over the icon for Substack and click it. When you do, it is going to open up her Substack, okay? And you're going to be able to find all her articles. She has one that's posted called California's Plan to Hand Vulnerable Children to Traffickers plus Gender Radicals. It's updated August 1st. August 1st is when it was put out, okay? You need to read this. You need to share this. When is this bill to be voted on, Nicole?
So it's already flown through under the radar through the Assembly. So it's Assembly Bill 495. It already passed through the Assembly. It's now in the Senate. I testified in front of the Senate Human Services Committee. That's what you just showed earlier. And now goes August 18th to the Senate Appropriations Committee, where they'll be considering the fiscal impact of this bill if it does pass. Obviously, our opinion is that it's going to cost the state tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars trying to track down these children. And the lawsuits that will be launched if a child is kidnapped or if they are subjected to medical care that the parent did not consent to. So we think that it'll have a large fiscal impact. We're asking anybody who can attend the hearing on Monday, the 18th to show up. And if not, to show up on the 19th, where Jack Hibbs and Real Impact USA are also doing their own lobby day and rally. They are not able to attend the hearing. So if you can make one of those days, both of those days, that would be amazing. If you can't make either, which I really don't think should be the case, is that you need to be contacting your senator. Please be contacting the Senate committee members, the Appropriations Committee members. Tell them they need to vote no, at the very least stay off this bill. It's not necessary. Everything that the Assemblywoman thinks undocumented immigrant parents need to protect their children is already in existence. We have child protective services, probate, dependency proceedings, an existing existing caregivers affidavit that already exists that can help these parents. This bill is not necessary. It's dangerous. It broadens the definition of who has access to these children, what they can consent to. And there's zero guardrails, like you said, zero procedural safeguards.
Hold right there. Come right back. A little bit more with Nicole. Don't go away, folks.
Okay.
I'll tell you one little.
You woke up with a sore throat and a low-grade fever. You know you are getting sick, so here's your choices. You can get sicker and miss work, try to see a doctor this week, or sit hours in a crowded waiting room at urgent care.
I have a smarter option for you. Open your medical emergency kit, match your symptoms to doctor-recommended prescription in your booklet, and take the right meds now and get well faster.
This is not a first aid kit. It's like having an urgent care in your home. It includes doctor-prescribed medications to treat over 39 medical issues like respiratory infections, strep throat, pneumonia, UTIs, and more.
No waiting to see the doctor and no standing in line at the pharmacy. It's right here.
Every home should have at least one medical emergency kit, and here's how to order.
Go to worldviewhealthcare.com. Your kit to treat dozens of common and serious illnesses is rushed to your door. worldviewhealthcare.com. That's worldviewhealthcare.com.
The emergency kit available at worldviewhealthcare.com. Make sure you don't have to go to urgent care. I got pneumonia. I didn't have to go. I took this last. All right, factslawtruthjustice.com, factslawtruthjustice.com. Just a couple more minutes with Nicole, then we'll run back to Dr. Lindstedt to wrap up. We're going to stay on this. Jack Hibbs, you heard the video at the beginning of the broadcast. I have never in my life ever heard a pastor tell a congregation that you may need to leave the state, and thus, of course, his church, right, that he's built. God builds the church, but he is shepherding this church, right? And to think that he's saying to his congregation, you may have to flee. It's selfless. And I really commend Pastor Hibbs for saying this, because I don't know that many pastors today would do that. Because, I mean, this is how the gentleman makes his living, and it's his calling. But he's basically telling his congregation, we're going to have to close it down because most of you are going to have to go. That should tell you the level of which it is scaring Pastor Jack Hibbs. Let me come back to Nicole real quick. Nicole, you say all they have to do is fill out one piece of paper, not notarized, nothing. Get that child from whatever state we are in the union over to California with that one piece of paper, and then within 6 weeks they can change the name. How would a parent even find their child if the name has been changed?
You won't, because of the other bills that I've mentioned to you, where California is protecting, for example, teachers and medical professionals from having to relay this information to the parents. So we have Assembly Bill 665, which says children can run away from home. They have to make a good faith attempt to contact the parents once they're in this government-run, state-run residential shelter. If they don't contact the parents, too bad, so sad. Assembly Bill 223 says we can change their birth records. We don't confidentially. We have Assembly Bill 1955. If something's going on with the child, noticeably, present in this AB 495 is that Celeste Rodriguez identifies teachers and medical professionals, not the child's medical provider, but medical professionals like counselors in these schools, AKA groomers in these residential shelters, who can keep secrets legally from parents. So it is a predator's just a dream come true here in California. It's extremely dangerous. And, I would just like to say that I respect Jax and I appreciate him so much. And I completely agree with you that what he says is extremely powerful and should be given significant weight. But if no child in this country is safe, if AB 495 passes, every child can be brought here and subjected to this affidavit and disappear.
So even leaving the state of California is not going to protect you. Now, instead of Californians being at risk, all the children of America are at risk.
Right. And we talk about this all the time. We're at war. If we let California fall, then they've already taken New York, they've taken Louisiana, they've taken Illinois, and they have all the strongholds, the borders of this country to control us and to really devastate us with transit and transportation and methods of egress and ingress. I mean, this is a war, a non-traditional war, without the guns and the missiles and the bombs and the bullets. But this is how they're going to conduct the lawfare. And if we have parents desperately searching for their children and fighting for their children in court, even though they've done nothing wrong to lose access to their child, we'll have them distracted, we'll have them defeated, spending their resources doing that, heartbroken, able to be controlled and manipulated by the government because they are destroyed shells of human beings. I mean, and then they'll also have our children.
And I would predict, Nicole, if this passes, you will have former Navy SEALs, former military special forces guys, one who's on my Rolodex, because I know he does this. I can call him 24 hours a day, because I'm going to call him before I call the police, because they're just going to take a report by and large. He's the first guy I call, and he flies here, and his team, and if, God forbid, someone in my family is kidnapped or taken, his team is going to be the team that goes and finds them. And I believe they're...
We have those.
You have those?
Yeah. No, sorry. I'm grateful that we have those. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I'm blinking back tears because that's what it's going to take when we have the courts and the law enforcement working in cahoots. And it makes me sick because Celeste Rodriguez and her supporters are riding on the backs of some of the most vulnerable children and families in our communities. These undocumented immigrants who are in hiding, who are being picked up on the streets, they're terrified. And they have resources. Even when a person gets picked up, you're a parent, you're on drugs with your husband, and you guys get picked up on the street and taken to prison, the first thing that you get is access to legal, obviously you get booked, they read you your rights, but you have access to a free counsel that taxpayers pay for. You get the first questions that come out of their mouth are, do you have children? Who is your next of kin? So even criminals, whether they're drug addicts, they're prostitutes, they're traffickers, they're undocumented immigrants, and they're taken into custody, they have already systems in place to protect children who could be left alone. And those processes are in conjunction with dependency proceedings, with the court system, with child protective systems, so that they can assign the child a caseworker, a case number, have hearings, have home interviews, place that child immediately. Existing law is any child that's left alone unaccompanied is immediately taken into custody, and then within the first 72 hours they try to make an emergency placement with the next of kin. If that doesn't happen, then they're placed into foster care, and then that foster care person, and I'm not saying California foster care system or CPS is perfect by any means, but when we're trying to track, and I hate tracking people, but we have to monitor where these children are going and have some sort of backstop before we strip. If you really care about undocumented immigrants and you care about their rights as parents, we need to be able to know where the child is so we can reunite them if and when the parent is allowed to come back, or even when the parent isn't allowed to come back, we need to be able to return the child to the parent. How is that going to happen when Celeste has broadened this definition of anybody who can take this child without any procedural guardrails in place? It is a recipe for disappearing children and then abusing them.
And you're changing their name,
bad policies,
changing their name, changing their birth date. So listening friends living outside of California, how are you going to find your son or your daughter when all the resources of the state of California are at use to hide your child from you? Which, by the way, California, I understand, pays in way more money to the federal government than they ever get back. So California has a lot of money. And you think you're going to go up against that? I hate to say it, but they're going to be special teams that are put together that will go and help find these children, because it'll take professionals to do it. And you're not going to get help, I don't think, from your state government in Tennessee. They're going to say, I'm sorry, that's a California problem now.
They can't. Like with the other laws that we were talking about, they can't even do it. If you come with a subpoena, you come with a warrant. If your child is here and that adult says, I have the child, but she's receiving gender affirming care or sexual reproductive health care, they can't touch it. If the child is here, it's an immigration issue. We can't touch it. We've already seen, you've seen Bill Asaley, who's now working with Trump, with the administration. Yep. We can't touch it. And I just want to say, in California,
the computer's going to take it away. Computer's going to take it away, but facts, law, truth, justice. Facts, law, truth, justice.com. Take care, guys.
This has been Worldview Radio with Brannon.
All right, we're going to come back in to WROS out of Jacksonville, Florida, and Worldview 2. We just dropped the VCY stations. But go ahead and finish up, Nicole, real quick. I'm going to get a response from Dr. Lindstedt. Go ahead, Nicole.
People are going to hear that this caretaker's affidavit already exists in the state, and it does. It's horrible. It's already a horrible situation. We don't need to make it worse. Everyone in this country is presumed innocent until proven guilty. We cannot be stripping people, parents and guardians, of their legal rights without due process of law, and removing their children from their custody and care without any procedural guardrails in place to ensure they are reunited when the time is appropriate.
This story, folks, needs to go far and wide. We're going to be posting this interview that you just heard with Nicole as a standalone by itself in a matter of minutes. We're going to get it back up online at worldviewtube.com for you to share far and wide. Guys in the control room, we need this chopped up, put over every social media platform we have. We need all of this to go viral, and for people to find out about this and find out about facts, law, truth, justice.com and what Nicole is doing, and this rally coming the 19th of August, led by Jack Hibbs on the state Capitol steps. And when will this bill finally be voted on to see if it becomes law? What's the time frame?
We don't know. And you know, when they have controversial bills, as soon as the momentum starts, it could literally, and that was the reason I did speak with Jack's team, that they want to rally on the 19th. So if it passes out of the Senate Appropriations Committee hearing on Monday, the 18th, they want to be ready to rock and roll on the 19th to do a lobby day, to meet with the representatives, the legislators, to make them, our opposition heard, because it could be heard any day. And with controversial bills like this, they can ram it through any day to be heard on the Senate floor. If it passes the Senate floor, then it goes to Gavin Newsom's desk. So we need to be putting pressure on the Senate Appropriation Committee members, our respective senators, and then on Gavin Newsom to veto, or at the very least to veto or vote no on this bill, or at the very least abstain. It's too dangerous. It needs to be worked on. I offered my services for free. That offer has not been accepted, but I am here to work on a bill that actually protects children to the extent it's even necessary, which I don't believe it is.
Wow. Aren't you guys thankful for Nicole? FactsLawTruthJustice.com, FactsLawTruthJustice.com. And we'll be putting this up at Worldview 2 for you guys to share everywhere just in a matter of minutes here at 1:56 p.m. Central Time today, August 5th, 2025. We're going to stay on it. Nicole, you need any airtime, all you got to do is text and it's yours.
I love you guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Nicole, she's amazing, isn't she? Wow. Dr. Lindsted, let's bring you back in here real quick. I only got a couple minutes, but as a church pastor, as a Christian school administrator, how many kids you have going to your school, Dr. Lindsted?
Around 600 in Wichita, but we have several satellite schools around the world.
Okay, so again, I want you to speak from this perspective. You know kids, you guard kids, you try to protect kids, you train kids. You got many of your graduates are in the NBA. I mean, we've lost track how many of them are in the NBA, not to mention Big Ten schools, etc. Got an amazing program there in Wichita, folks. It's worthy of a movie. I mean, how many of us saw the movie Hoosiers, right? Back in the day? They could make a whole movie. Logan, maybe we should do that. Let's write a movie script and produce a movie with AI, because it's getting really good, about Dr. Lindsted. Here we go. He'd be the Gene Hackman of our own show. But can you believe what you just heard, Dr. Lindsted?
Yeah, it's hard to believe. And Jack Hibbs is a very reputable person, excellent Bible teacher, excellent Bible prophecy, very concerning. Our friend that called in and said, well, we're kind of doomsday people. We're always calling woof woof. Here's what I say. I think we're at crunch time. A lot of times, let's just take the NBA. They mess around for 3 quarters. Finally, the last quarter, they start getting serious. The last 2 or 3 minutes, they're playing hard. And that's what's going on. Here we are. It's attacking our homes, our families. That's exactly what they want to attack. And this bill would be a disaster. Like you say, every state would be affected. I look at what's taking place in the Middle East. The controversy of Israel dividing. The world's suddenly turning against Israel again. They turned against them during the October 7th situation. Now they're coming back. Now they're mad again. Why? Because Israel's found out they can't live with Hamas on the southern border. So now the world says, no, let's make Israel the goat again. I see so many things that are coming to an apex right now, and I don't think it's going to continue this way. Why? Because it can't. These things cannot be sustained. So I really think that we're looking at the end time. I think Satan is trying everything he can to uproot everything that's decent and good about the American society. And certainly our families and children are in a very important part, a backbone of this feeling. So I hope that people do respond and do rally. I know this as I'm a great-great-grandfather as of a week ago.
Wow, congratulations.
And, it's an exciting time for me. And so the kids in my school, many of them I've watched grow up through all their school years. Many of them I brought here from other countries in legal fashion. And I feel like I'm a grandparent to all of these kids. I want them to grow up with wholesome, real values of what a home is like, what a godly home is like.
Amen.
And this is modeled in the Bible. And so
BibleTipNow.org. The computer's going to take it from me. BibleTipNow.org. That's his website. Take care.